in shitty clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Stuffed my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I play to win, even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. Almost gone, greed's the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Time in hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rights. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Charts are noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I'll reload, I play to win, even if I lose it all again. Woke up late, charts on fire. Red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The 10 brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the wheel or get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs. Showed me coins in shitty clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Stuffed my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I play to win, even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. Almost gone, greed's the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Time in hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rights. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Charts are noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down.
Good afternoon, guys. How's it going? What's up, Sterling, Coma, Pluff, JB, Kyle, save us. Yeah, the market's been pretty crappy. We just got acceptance into a previous valley area that could cause us to range for a little bit. Andrew, what's up, man? Noah, Dennis. All right, Albert, how you doing? Okay, let's get to it. So, Bitcoin had another leg down yesterday. We took a long position due to a swing failure pattern. Right here, we had price action come and grab liquidity from these lows. We stacked a bunch here. We had some here as well. We came and swept it all. We jumped in on the candle close right here. The measurable target was this high, so that's where we were ending up targeting. But yeah, last night I ended up undercutting it just by a little bit to this previous high because we're going to bed, and I wanted to make sure I was reactional. Well, you know, if I was asleep, I wasn't going to be reactional to the high. So luckily, it was a pretty good exit plan. We got out there. About 75, my position was closed between here and here. And then I left 25% in the profit zone at a stop loss in case we continue to go up higher. I had like an exit plan ready around here. But yeah, the remaining 25% got stopped out in this area. So overall, it's a good trade. Shortly afterwards, this morning around 2:30 in the morning, we closed inside of this valley area that I've got highlighted. This valley area came from consolidation above a previous macro valley area right here. Right, this is the previous macro valley area, and this is the one that we are in within now. Right, this one we were ranging for 55 days before we ended up using it as support and getting the higher high, telling us we're going to leave and create new all-time highs, basically. So this is where we're kind of dancing around right now. There's pros and cons to this. So hopefully we consolidate here a little longer, kind of like what we did last time. Normally when you go inside of a previous valley area, you behave the same way you were the last time you were there. So we could range here for a little bit, but we'll have to see what kind of price action, what kind of story the price action gives us, because if we get down lower where this previous macro valley area high is, and we get acceptance into that, then we could come down to as low as the valley area low at 93K. And yesterday we did a post about a fractal. Let's check here. If you were to pull a fractal from this previous consolidation and pullback, we have price action behavior that looks almost identical to this right now from when we were consolidating between like December and then had this falling wedge structure up until April. If you were to pull this as a fractal and you put an overlay over top of the active price action, so far we're behaving the same way we did, and it comes in confluence with this demand zone around 93K. So if we do get that acceptance into this valley area again, right here, I will be looking for really good longs around 93,000. At least to a rotation to the valley area high. And this is all hypothetical, assuming we get acceptance into there. This is where I'll be preparing for really good longs. And we do have a good level right here. Unfortunately, if we get down there, we would flip bearish on the weekly. So things would look pretty doom and gloom until we broke the high on the weekly after the fact, after we closed below this wick. So I'm hoping that this doesn't happen, and if we do get acceptance into this valley area, that it might be short-lived. We'll hit maybe the equilibrium point, the top of this demand zone, and this point of control. So there's lots of confluence here with this wick that could induce a weekly SFP and help us cause a really strong reversal, very similar to what we saw when we had the daily SFP at the top, which gave us a pretty bogus target, right? When we swept this high and got us a daily SFP, it gave us a target of way down here, which is like, you know, sometimes you see a target in mind and it kind of feels like it's out of reach because of the barriers along the way. But we just like teleported down to it because we had news on our side for that kind of short. So maybe if we come down to these lows, we'll have news on our side again. Might see Trump giving himself a handshake with people in China, and yeah, get a reversal from that. And then you'll start feeling like you live in a simulation for sure. But yeah, we're in a 55-day valley area. I'm hoping that we hold in this area, of course, because I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I hold quite a bit of it. But what's happening in the background is pretty darn healthy if you think of it that way. So if we zoom in onto the on-chain data, this is on-chain data from the point where we started to consolidate. Let me sec here. I can zoom out on the daily again. Right about here. Okay. We had the most unique price action in pretty much Bitcoin's history since this moment when institutions have gotten involved with their ETFs right here, right? And we've had consolidations above the previous all-time high that created massive resets as retail exited and institutions entered. So this ranging is basically a story of retail leaving the market and institutions kind of like taking over. So we've been ranging as they've been exiting and new people entering. And it's been creating kind of unique behavior in the on-chain analytics to create macro extensions for our bull market. So if we do behave like this fractal here, right here, and we have something similar occur during this moment here, and we come all the way down to maybe around this level, if we look on chain, we can look for confluences to when we start, you know, seeing people begin to hold at losses, like where more majority of holders start to hold at losses. And that's when we get on the Newpol chart below the 50 level, 0.50. So when you see it start to shift from green to orange, right? We start getting those strong reversals. And the last time we were there, this here is the fractal that we're talking about, where my mouse is kind of bouncing back and forth between. If we come, now we're starting to see us get into that like little orange zone. So if we dip down lower, we normally find support on the Newpol around 0.43, 0.41, 0.42. So I'll be looking around between 0.44 and 0.42 for a reversal. And we'll see what kind of structure we get and confluence at that, and see if we get a strong push back up to create new all-time highs from that moment. But that's the kind of confluence I'm looking for because of the behavior that we've been having on-chain ever since institutions have been getting heavily involved with their ETFs and accumulation with their companies, all that fun stuff. But yeah, let's see, going back to, right now, I've noticed that gold's been hogging a lot of the attention. So there's been some kind of flow of funds like shifting out of some higher risk assets and into gold while the US government has shut down, which has historically happened that way every time the US has shut down. So I'm going to delete this noise. Well, I guess I can undo that. This might be helpful for you guys for your vision. But we could look for an SFP trade on like the 15-minute around here. And then we can target the most recent pullback. But you got to be aware of the orb potentially acting as resistance and the previous point of control potentially acting as resistance if we do get that sweep. Right now, we're in kind of in a zone where I'll be honestly afraid to touch it. I'd rather us prepare for a short here with structural evidence of that resistance. We would bearish change of character, or a long around here at the previous value area low. If we dip down a little bit lower and tap this previous macro value area high and we get evidence of support, then even better, because it would most likely give us a better an R&R to our local target. But yeah, that is my rant for Bitcoin. What we got in the chat? First time you actually listen to the song, intro song, love it. I can post it for you guys. Yeah, I can post it. Or a file in the Discord. Yeah, definitely. I've noticed those targets get hit when we stay out. Yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of people held this. A lot of people held this short. I unfortunately was not one of them because of an accident, a stupid little accident with my limit orders. So I got good gains, but not the gains that I wanted, obviously. Pretty wild rotation down. But yeah, the short here comes with the confluence of the 200-day EMA, that's right here, the previous macro value high that we just got acceptance within, and we have a 4-hour order block that generated from that drop. So we got 3 strong forms of confluence here. So I'll be just looking for evidence of resistance through structure with a bearish change of character, or maybe a local SFP that could generate during that time. But that's what I'll be looking for here. Which has more confluence. This short has more confluence than the long over here. But, you know, if we break the downtrending momentum in confluence with the bullish change of character, we know there's more liquidity above us now than there is below us. So we'll have that backing our long as well. But that's what I'm looking for, guys. I'm just going to be sitting on my hands mostly until I see structural evidence of support or resistance in these 2 zones. Okay. TA rules on the daily showing will go down, on chain showing different. Yeah, there's a lot of variables, man. But macro basically on chain saying that this isn't the end of the bull market is what all I'm trying to say. This could just be a really strong cool down like we've received several times throughout this bull market. The one thing that makes this different than others, though, is that we actually finally broke the uptrending daily macro momentum that's been holding us up since 16,000, right? That's the one thing that's different. And every time we break macro momentum, it usually comes with the confluence of on-chain data agreeing with it being the top. Like this one, for example, when we lost its momentum, all the on-chain rules were met for this being the top. But we also had an aggressive rally during that time. We didn't cool down like we've seen before over here and here and here. Bitcoin normally never has longer than a 30-day consolidation during a bull run. That's what makes this a lot more unique. There's more price suppression from institutional involvement. Because we can see the manipulation all the time in the order books. Yesterday was pretty wild. We had limit buy walls, limit buy walls, limit sell walls the size of 1,000 Bitcoin just constantly flash in and out of the charts. Like they were trying during this moment around here, especially when we had this price suppression. We're getting like got this little squeeze before our long. There's buy walls and sell walls popping up with the size of 1,000 Bitcoin over and over again from each side, just trying to confuse people in the order books. I'm not sure if that was like an automated market maker having a heyday, just glitching out, or if it was something else, but the order books were almost unusable for a little bit yesterday, which is one of my concrete tools for kind of like looking both ways before crossing the road. Please do post a song. YouTube will love it. All right, cool. I'll post the song. I got to make a little music video for it. Or just a fancy little thumbnail for it, I guess. Making crypto songs are kind of fun. Good morning. Can you cover COAI? I think it might be time for its 90% pullback is typical for shitcoins that hit over $1 billion market cap. Yeah, it might be now the market cap might be a factor. It might be also the fact that liquidity has gone down for a lot of altcoins. The pairing liquidity is what I'm mainly talking about. When the pairing liquidity goes down, it makes it very easy for other assets to go down too. For example, if you built your own token and say you built it on like the Solana network and Solana goes down in value, your bank reserves go down in value alongside it and makes it easier for when sell pressure occurs or even when buys happen. It creates a kind of like a revaluation of the price and pushes the price down. Okay, thanks, Koma. Let's do some TA for you guys. I also am doing a giveaway today for a $6,000 account. We can do that right after we do, let's say, TA on 3 assets since we have 3 or 4 requests. So I'll do, TA on 3 assets and then we'll do the giveaway. Okay, so render was one of the requests. Let's take a peek at render. I know we have a render chart, so let's pull that up. We haven't looked at it since October 8th. See how the AI sector has been doing. Probably getting slaughtered a little bit from the China news. What we have. Yep, we were preparing for potential longs at this value area low. And this isn't a really important value area for render. And for us to see it come up, have it act as resistance is not great. Let's see. Gonna update this right to the point where we lost it and had it act as resistance. So we can delete this. We never had any evidence of support. We just bursted right through it and dropped like everything else. It has a wick all the way down to 42.6 on Binance. I think Binance has had the lower levels compared to most exchanges. Okay, I'm just zooming out a little bit, seeing how much are we. Okay. So this would be normally like a demand zone that we're in. But it might be considered mitigated because of that massive wick. So we just got to be cautious that most of the demand zones that we'd normally look at for support are likely weak. Any limit buy orders that could have been resting or residual buy orders that could have been resting in these zones most likely got mitigated during that massive wick down, filling all their orders basically. Okay. But there are people will still pay attention to these areas as areas of confluence. You see our body structure is at least using it as support. Yeah, the candle, even though it wicked all the way down to 42 cents, it ended up closing back in our little demand zone at $2.28, where we had this double bottom, signs of accumulation. And now we're coming back down to these previous lows. We have downtrending momentum here that could assist us in preparing for confluence of a reversal if we break it. Switch over to the 15-minute structure. I'm going to pull a fixed range volume profile. I'm going to try my best not to include the candle that wicked all the way down, because your anchor would just teleport down to the floor. Yeah, your anchor ends up being way down here. When you're trying to adapt it, it's kind of annoying. And the data you're missing out on is not going to be very helpful. All right, there we go. So we're at the local value area low. We have double distribution. When you see a B structure like this with your value area, it's a warning of double distribution, basically meaning that you have 2 areas of concrete interest. So if you look at these volume peaks, you got to treat them like they're 2 separate points of control and not just one in your value area. So you'd be mindful of this location right here along the way up. You can basically treat it like a local point of control. Okay. So if we come up there, that could be an area of interest to prepare for an exit plan or for shorts. So what we want to see for render is basically consolidation maybe get a bullish change of character, and then rotate back to the value area high. So we get a little bit more time for structure before we take action on anything. But yeah, we're in a spot where you definitely would prepare for longs for a short-term scalp to the local highs. So if I were to draw like a pathing tool where I prepare my exit plan, it'd be like from here to here. But we want to see that. I would prefer to see that lower low. And then maybe front run through an SFP off these two wicks. There's two SFP potential locations. To front run the bullish change of character that could allow you to get in to target the value area high. So I'd grab your horizontal array, get your magnet tool, connect it to these two wicks. We have value area low confluence here. And you can set alarms for when price action gets close to it, not when price action touches it, because then you'll be too late to be able to react. So to repeat, basically SFP opportunity or wait for a potential bullish change of character occurrence before thinking about longs, and then target the high. Be mindful of the liquidity, the supply concern here. Right here. Got an order block there. I'm not sure why my indicator's not showing, but it... There we go. All right, cool. That is render. Hope that helps you out, man. I'll save the chart. You guys can pull this up by using the chart command inside the Discord server. Okay, close to 7,000 subs. Yeah, we're getting there. I think it was only about 50 away. All right, next request was HBAR. Okay, we have an HBAR chart as well. I'm curious to see how HBAR did. I don't think we looked at it. Yeah, we haven't looked at it since the crash. September 22nd. I do hold some HBAR. Yeah, we were looking the last time for potential longs here, but we never got that bullish change character. And that's why you wait for it, and you don't just assume a level is going to act as support. Wait for that bullish change character. Wait for the confirmation, or else you can get wrecked. But yeah, similar to render, HBAR lost a really strong value area that we were ranging within for a while here. We were ranging for 88 days. Renders was a lot longer. The renders was, let me just zoom out just for comparison. At least it felt like a lot longer. Yeah, 245 days, yeah. So similar how they're kind of correlated in price action behavior with different age structure. But yeah, we came up, basically used this demand zone as resistance right here that we're using as support for a long time, right? Used it to hold up this structure, and now we came down, broke through it, mitigated this demand zone and hit it as resistance and came down. And we got new body lows, but obviously we haven't got a new wick low because of the ridiculous crash. But now we're dancing off of a previous value area low. We got a little bit more broad momentum here compared to render. We don't have SFP opportunities like we do with render though. If we zoom in on the hourly structure, we have internal momentum here so the pace of the sellers have sped up. We did get a lower low already, so we can expect a potential change of character occurrence here with the confluence of the VWAP breaking if we get a close above this key level. And similar to render, we do have supply concern here. So if you take this trade, it might only be like a 1-to-1 scenario, unless we get the SFP, which we have an hourly. This is the hourly time frame. Let me just go the 15-minute. Okay, so 15-minute became a break of structure, so we can't use the 15. So we could get an hourly SFP. In order for this to be an hourly SFP, all we need to see occur is this body to close above this wick, and it'll give us the measurable target of this high, which you would have to watch potential undercuts for on the VWAP. So you want to make sure you have confluence from Bitcoin, or at least Ethereum, suggesting a reversal before taking this, and see where Bitcoin is relative to its barriers, so you can prepare for, barrier-based confluence between Bitcoin and HBAR. So as HBAR potentially confirms this SFP and targets this high, you got to watch what Bitcoin's doing. Is it going to break this neckline for this double bottom simultaneously? You wouldn't want to probably take this long, but you'd likely want to take a long like this one, and then see how Bitcoin behaves to its supply concern up here. And if we breach through it, then awesome. If we use it as resistance, then you'll most likely see HBAR also use this level as resistance and confluence with that, and then you just use it as your exit plan and get out. But if Bitcoin continues up and we have a bullish change of character on HBAR and we get continuation warnings, then you can use that confluence to tell you to stay in your trade rather than exit at your SFP target. So that's how me personally would prepare for the exit plan here. So SFP target is just this local high. And if you get the change of character, then I'll be looking at the supply concern, value area high confluence. Your invalidation point is the wick. So if you have a stop loss in place, make sure you use the wick as your stop loss. Some people go right to the wick, which is great, but it does not protect you from liquidity sweeps. So if you want to have right now we have data telling us it's about a 15% or so win rate increase if you have a 50% deviation from the wick to the body when the candle confirms as a stop loss suggestion. So if you get your Fibonacci retracement tool, you click on the bottom of the wick to the body after it closes. It'll give you a stop loss suggestion that will increase your win rate, but will decrease your net R&R. So make sure the R&R is there if you're going to be taking that suggestion, if it confirms as an SFP. Here you can screenshot my settings for the SFP stop loss guide. You just need to have a 0, a 1, and a 1.5. And you're set. And it will always be from the wick to the body. And if it's bullish one, or bearish one, sorry, be wick to the body. Either way. Yeah, 24 minutes until this confirms. All right, I'm going to keep this one on the side, ready to go, because there's an opportunity there. And I'll switch this back to the 15-minute for anyone who uses the render charts. Close this tab so it doesn't take up all my virtual memory. You should post your TA on the same way. You should post your TA on the same way live, TA? I'm not sure what you mean by that, man. Same way as Brew. I have to find out how Brew does it. I only seen him live once. If you're talking about Brewberry. But yeah, I can check that out. Is it a communication thing? Easy to communicate? That's pretty cool. I like that, Kyle. Thanks. No problem, man. All right, so one more request, and then we'll do the giveaway for a $6,000 account. So So we did Render, we did Bitcoin, we did HBAR. We have the next request, which is from Solana. Always great to learn more risk mitigation info. Oh yeah, yeah. Honestly, risk is just about consistency. Have your stop loss budget be consistent. Always risk to lose same value over and over again. Whether it be the percentage value of an account, like 1% or 2%. 2% if you're on a higher side of the win rate, like above 50%. But yeah, being consistent with your risk is pretty much it. Either you have a fixed value for milestone risk management, and milestone risk management, basically you look at an account value like $1,000, and you make sure you only risk lose a fixed amount of that, like $10 would be 1%, to try to gain $20 or more. And if you hold above a 40% win rate, you are going to be profitable with that kind of risk to reward ratio long term. It all depends on what you're doing. If you're doing this as like a little hobby to make money on the side, or if you're doing this as a profession. If you're doing this as a profession, you typically want to be a range trader, so you can get a lot more opportunities, because the market ranges 80% of the time. If you are someone who wants to be a swing trader, then you'll get 80% less opportunities, but you'll have trades that usually last a long time that can allow you to kind of become a little bit of a digital nomad, make some passive. It kind of feels more passive, that's for sure. But those setups only come, once in a while. Okay. Can't wait for our alt macro short and learn the rules on it. Yeah, the alt macro short is going to be, it's very, very, very similar to how we would treat the Bitcoin macro short, because Bitcoin is going to be our key indicator of when alts are going to have, it's like this crash obviously is insane for alts especially. But the alt macro short is going to happen pretty much the same time we do the Bitcoin macro short. It's usually a little bit later. Okay. All right, let's get to Brew screenshots the chart setup in a live TA section on Discord. Oh, that's okay. That's pretty simple. Yeah, I can do that. I can start doing that going forward, man. All right, next request was Solana. We do go through a lot of assets, so that makes sense. Sometimes it's hard to remember all the ones we go through. I know I don't remember all of our setups. And I'll go back to a chart and oh yeah, we were preparing for that. So here, for example, we had this uptrending momentum. Solana had a lot of reason to correct, right? We had this uptrending momentum converging with the downtrending momentum that's been holding it. This has been holding it up since 173. This has been holding it down since 237. And when we do this, we create what's called an apex point. And if we're uptrending into a downtrend, we're statistically more likely to drop. That's why we have this in red. If we had something like this, right, and we're coming into an area of confluence where a squeeze will most likely induce a break to the upside, let's say like a really strong level of support that we know is likely going to give us at least a bounce, right? You could get your triangle tool over here on the left. My camera's kind of covering it, and you just squeeze it against the area of interest, downtrending momentum, and you kind of give yourself a zone of interest to prepare for potential longs. And if you want to get alerted for when price action gets to an apex point like that, all you got to do is get your vertical line right before it, and you can set an alarm for when price action crosses it. And that gives you like a time alert telling you to prepare. Like stuff like this is especially good for swing traders. But yeah, here we're preparing for the bearish change of character occurrence. That's why we have this orange line here. We're expecting a pull back here. We got it, but luckily we just hit our head off the supply that we just created. And this previous, basically retesting this zone in confluence with that. And came down, got a break of structure, and that's the moment when we started being able to draw momentum. At least on the hourly time frame. So we got that we didn't get this scenario where we came up and retest this, but we did get the scenario where we kind of like came right back down to this area of interest where we're expecting a bounce. We got the bounce, but then last night we got that continuation with the bear flag. But here we are back in this previous area of interest. We got an hourly order block that was just mitigated when we came down through here. We can delete this. We have a bit of demand zone here that we're kind of holding off of. But right here is a previous valley area that we used as support, and now we're trying to get acceptance back into it. If we get a rotation up to here, we expect resistance again. I think we'd likely consolidate in this valley area again and see us potentially break to the upside from here, assuming we have that kind of confluence with Bitcoin. If we come down lower, let's see. Yeah, we do have a demand zone over here. But a lot of, yeah, the wick really messes things up. Solana's wick isn't as like aggressive as all the other assets though. So maybe looking for, we could prepare for a crazy SFP off of this low. A lot of the wicks didn't have that much liquidity below that, believe it or not. But yeah, Solana really held its ground. We have, yeah, another SFP low here too. So maybe this previous point of control here could be a good spot to prepare for longs. 15-minute. Let's go here. If we maintain this regression trend along the way down, the order flow suggests really good liquidity for a long. If we maintain this regression trend, yeah. So we keep stacking more and more liquidity as we're taking more and more from the downside. So this is our next little area of interest. The stiletto pattern, basically. If I draw, let me get the emote for it. This guy. All right, that's Solana. Not much to prepare for, honestly. Just looking for structural evidence of support here. We have supply up here that we can watch out for. This 15-minute order block is a good spot of confluence because we can assume good liquidity here too, right? Not just the residual sell orders that could come from the order block, but we have this horizontal level of resistance that likely induced stop losses, liquidity levels to be roughly above this location, and then you can verify that using on-chain, CoinGlass. Going through here, I'm actually going to refresh this CoinGlass today chart. I want to see how down we are on October. 7.5%, 15%. Okay. Yeah, September really screwed up our October phase when we had that massive pump. So yeah, liquidation heat maps. You click on symbol, and then you click on here to search up Solana, and we can find out our liquidity. You go back to the asset, find out how long it's been since we've had that pullback. It's been 20 hours, so we can fit it inside a 24-hour time frame chart. And we can see, yeah, we were right. There is a decent amount of liquidity resting above here. So that could be used as exit liquidity if we do come up here. And we have a even heavier amount of liquidity just above that zone of interest that we were talking about as well. So here and here has a decent amount of liquidity resting above it. If this is used as buy side liquidity, we create an ascending double bottom. Then we'd be targeting around here where market makers are likely going to have their exit plan. And that would work well in confluence with Bitcoin breaking its double bottom. Okay. And that double bottom target is not very aggressive. We got, yeah, it brings us right to like the 30-minute order block within this massive 4-hour order block. All right, let's do the giveaway, guys. Stiletto Soul, nice, thanks, Kyle. No problem, man. How does the giveaway work? Okay, so let's pull this up. We're gonna write a keyword. Today we're just gonna use the word Bitcoin. So I'm just gonna type Bitcoin, capital B, guys. So when I click start listening, that's the moment you guys want to say the word Bitcoin. You can say it 5,000 times if you want, but it will only put you in once. So just be aware, like, so long as you have the proper capitalization, capital B, use the word Bitcoin, you'll be able to get an entry into here. If you are a member of the Discord, standard members will automatically get 3 valid entries. Elite members will automatically get 6. You only can win once. We set up our system so that it has a memory now. So if you are a winner of this in the past, it will remember you, and then that way we can give everyone an opportunity to potentially win in the future, right? All right, so I'm gonna click start listening, and now you guys can say the word Bitcoin. So now your names are gonna start populating here. If your name doesn't populate here after you said the word Bitcoin, then it didn't recognize you. So you got Sterling on here, we got Kaban Z, Coma, Gear, Nonstop, TY, Remus, Maxwell, here they all come, AUB, the Deer One Trades, JB, Certified Turtle, Keen Bean, J Dams, Crypto Reaper, Matrix. You guys are all getting entered in here. Just holders, sorry, I can't speak that right now. Zachary, K-Pack, Brave Dave, nice name, man. Safer, Jay Becker, Blackwater, Victor, Pluff, Bearded Mac Mike, Mabea, Wendy Wu, Albert, Colin, Crypto. Anyone else? We got 60 people watching us right now. And we got 29 entries. So there's 30 of you that have not commented yet. There we go. JMB, Wendy Wu. Wendy Wu's, oh yeah, you're in here. All right, guys. In about 10 seconds, we're going to be closing down the ballot entries. Then we'll sync the server in, and then we're going to do our giveaway for a $6,000 account from Klein Funding, a prop firm system that we definitely trust. And they pay out 90% of your profits. All right, cool. So let's sync from the Discord, get our ballot entries from the members. All right, and Heck Trades you got in there. I'm going to click stop listening now. All right, cool. And stop. And we're going to our Andrew, I think you got in there too, man. All right, let's go to the draw page. Let's see what we get. Who's the winner? We got Boa. This is the handle. So congratulations, you've won a $6,000 account. I will make a post in the Discord for you. Make sure you DM me in order to claim it. The claiming process is pretty simple. Basically, I just need your email sent to me in the DMs. I'll screenshot this, and I'll reach out to you just in case. All right, cool. Congratulations, man. But yeah, next Friday, we give away another $6,000 account. We might be upping it soon to $30,000. So cross our fingers. It all depends on the performance of like how many people we like bring in organically to them to find out whether or not we will be able to have our giveaway amount increased each week. But yeah, congrats, Boa. All right. We got getting a break to the upside on Bitcoin. We just need to have the candle body close above the wick in order to confirm that, not change character, but to confirm that we're likely going to use that as buy sell liquidity to induce a potential pump. But we could also SFP here and bring us right back down to these lows. I'm just going to pull up the Discord really quick, and I'm going to send myself a message. Okay. If you see me shivering, it's because I'm actually, like, I'm pretty freaking cold. But the studio, haven't turned on the heater yet in here since the fall has started in Canada. And it's pretty chilly. You're rich. Can you do Aave? Yes, we can. I will pull it up right now. I was looking at Aave this morning. So I wanted to take an hourly SFP yesterday, but there's too many warning signs. But yeah, this is Aave. If I zoom out on the 4 hour, we have this daily macro momentum holding us up. We wick down below it, of course, but we close back above it. We have, during that wick down, we mitigated a daily order block from this demand zone. But this is still going to be an area of interest. We're going to prepare for potential longs. If we do come down that low, the price where the uptrending momentum is right now relative to the day is at 155.80. It's uptrending every single day. We have this demand zone that starts at 180. So right here is an area of interest for potential longer term longs, not like short term scalps, but longer term longs could occur here. Especially if we get into this apex point right here. That'll be awkward, boring consolidation if that were to occur. But that's actually pretty common after a massive flash crash. It takes a while for traders to get their trust back into the space. So volume does tend to dwindle a little bit. Some people just sell out of fear, and a lot of traders kind of just step aside and wait for more structure. Right now we have this wick level here that's just above this zone. Percentage-wise, that's a decent drop from here to here. If we look at like the measurement tool, it tells us like it's another 9.5%. I am hoping that we don't come down that low, of course, but it would be kind of nice to see it sweep this low first before reversing and giving us I guess it would be like a 15-minute change of character, not an hourly one, because like we have what you want to see in order for it to be considered a change of character or a proper pullback is consecutive candles going up against you, like we did right here. So in this case, we had like a green, red, green. So even if we broke this, we wouldn't get the hourly change of character until way up here. So we wouldn't flip bullish on the hourly until we broke that. But we'd flip 15 on the 15, so we could use that as a front run opportunity and to potentially front run an hourly change of character if we broke above this. But in my opinion, we'll likely be using this as resistance with the confluence of the downtrending momentum. If we do get this break, we do have the VWAP confluence, the 15-minute change of character there to help us assist us for a potential long, but it might be a short-lived long if we hit our head here in the supply concern. We have an hourly order block. We have supply here. We have downtrending momentum, so I think we might just hit our head and come back down if we do get that break. But I think the odds will be a lot better if we swept this low first. Grab any potential liquidity from that low, or just have retail reactions, induce a pump from the sweep. Now if we go to the 15-minute time frame, we do have that. We have a decent, okay order flow structure, but this is our key level right here that we want to have a full body candle close above. And if we have a pullback prior to that break, you can use that pullback as your stop loss guard with a VWAP on your side, protecting your capital to a target like that. Or you can prepare for the legacy SFP sweep and front run all this, and then use that as your take profit area. But if we have the break, if we have the change of character occurrence, then that tells you can hold your trade to around here. So initial setup, if I were to draw a mapping tool here, sweep the low, potential SFP, and then that would give us a target of this high. A break of structure, or sorry, a change of character occurrence here would then give you a target extension to here. So just little baby steps. If we don't get this sweep, then you're definitely going to want to have that pullback prior to the break and not afterwards. If you have the, like trying to jump in afterwards, make sure you're trying to catch the retest. If you have enough confluence to enter along off just a retest and not the higher high. Because the R&R will start to dwindle around here if you take the retest and break a structure entry. So you want to have the pullback prior to the break. Okay, so that is Aave. I hope that helps you out. So if we don't get the reaction here that we want, then this is the next area of interest for potential longs at 180. But we have two different scenarios to prepare for the reversal. Save. Aave is added to our command script, so you can add that. Bitcoin's about to get that potential body close above here on the 15-minute. And H-bar is close to getting us to the SFP, but where it is relative to the target of the SFP right here is less than a 1-to-1. So what happens in this scenario? If your rules are met, if all your rules are met for a long, what you can do is you can try to enter between where your normal entry point would be and the invalidation point. And in this case, the invalidation point is this wick. So you can try to get in with the limit order at a proper risk to reward ratio right here and still have this be valid. But if it hits the target, obviously cancel your limit order, right? Or if it hits an area that has a really aggressive reaction that you were initially worried about, like this VWAP barrier, then that's also a reason to kind of like cancel your limit order and not take it. So this is like a good spot to prepare for a limit order right here. Once this confirms, about 26 seconds to then target the high here. Or you can look for a secondary sweep if it happens. That's one thing that's nice about the hourly and higher when it comes to SFPs is you usually have a lot of time to make a decision. All right, we got that confirmation of we broke the neckline. Let's see how we respond to this downtrending momentum. But we have a measurable target now of getting us up into the supply concern. Got to run. Thanks for today. No problem, man. Oh, you took that long. Congrats, man. 7%. Nice. All right. What else do we have for request? We saw a request for a weird one that I haven't seen before. I'm trying to find it. It was like a KOAI, I believe. KOAI. Chain Opera AI. Interesting. Okay. Well, looks like it has some relative strength. Nice. So it had an inverse head and shoulders posture on the 15-minute right here. We flipped bullish when we broke this high, giving us a change character on the 15-minute while simultaneously confirming the inverse head and shoulders. We're starting to take liquidity from these highs. So we're really close to an area where most people would prepare their exit plan if they jumped in on this. The measurable target, if you grab, there's a tool here where you can kind of draw them out under patterns. So here, here. Okay. And if you grab a trend line from the head to the neckline here, where the resistance is, you have your momentum and the momentum based target from the moment it breaks out, gives you a suggestion for the target. So if we get that continuation with the candle close above these wicks, we can basically target the liquidity here for potential SFP. Or you just watch out for an opposing change of character. I'll be using like maybe the 5 minute for an opposing change of character warning, just because of where we are and the kind of structure that we're getting. We're getting a little bit of a regression trend. If you zoom in on lower time frames, you'll see this as a regression trend. If we go like the 5, maybe the 3. Yeah, it's being awkward. So just be cautious. This wasn't a valid SFP. It was, okay. So we did have this SFP here, but its target. Now we consider, yeah, I'll be looking around here for its target if it comes down. See if we just get that candle close since Bitcoin's kind of running up. We have a 5 minute order block here around 23.86 that you can watch out for. But yeah, but this area closes with a full body candle right below this wick. I'd be cautious, maybe take some off the table if you took that trade. If we zoom out on a bigger picture, because I've never done TA on this thing, so I'm just going to zoom out a little further. Jeez, an aggressive pump. 500% pump there. So this thing hasn't really had a correction until this moment here. So this is our daily uptrending momentum that's been holding it up since $1.78. Or is it hourly, sorry. We have a demand zone down here. You can label, watch, and prepare for that for potential long opportunities if we do come down there. Our all-time high, crazy wick level up here. Building a little bit of an head and shoulders, depending on how we perform around here. We're close to the equal high of the left shoulder. Let's see how it does. If we sweep this, then yeah, we can start seeing a potential curve. I'd pull a fixed range volume profile here to here. All right, now we're at the value area high. So basically we're going to look for opposing confluences for shorts here now. So if we get the SFP from this high or a bearish change of character, and then we get acceptance into the value area, then we start targeting these lows again, around $16. So if I draw pathing, sweep, prepare for the sweep, or prepare for the bullish change of bearish change of character. All right, cool. Well, that's everything I got for you on Chain Opera. Let's see how Bitcoin's doing now. Go back to the Bitcoin chart. We're starting to come up towards that confluence of resistance. Previous value area high, 200-day EMA, 4-hour order block right here. We get the downtrend momentum, see how it closes here. Maybe we get a reversal sooner. Okay. We got in the chat. We got Chainlink. Chainlink's next request. Let's pull it up. Link. How is Chainlink doing? Okay. Oh yeah, we looked at this SFP here last time. It doesn't look like it did well. Yeah, it swept, confirmed as an SFP. We held through here as support and pretty much came up to the supply zone that we were targeting. But yeah, it would knock you out first before coming up. We can adjust this downtrending momentum trend line. This demand zone didn't hold very well from this previous value area low confluence. We got a bit of a bounce off of it, but we ended up getting that break of structure continuation down, kind of like everything else. This was our next area of interest. We had a 30-minute order block, previous point of control here, and a bit of demand. And we have this zone. Yeah, where's the previous area of interest from the past? Previous macro, is it a macro value high? No, just a really strong one from it was induced from a range right here back in November 2023. We consolidated here for 85 days. It's been used as a tool to help us with longs a lot in the past. Like, there's some shorts here, but yeah, lots of long opportunities here because of it. But now we're at the value area high, trying to use it as support again, like we did here. So hopefully we get the demand zone confluence alongside with that previous value high will help induce a reversal. We have downtrending momentum that could break. If we zoom in on the lower time frames again, with a 15-minute. Yeah, we got that ascending double bottom break to the upside, just like Bitcoin. And just like everything else, we have the supply concern right above us. You know, Bitcoin's close to its supply barrier, while everything else is kind of distant in comparison. So pay a lot more attention to Bitcoin's positioning than Chainlink's when it comes to that resistance, because if we get that opposing change of character around here, then the run will probably end, and maybe we'll just hit the floor of the supply as Bitcoin's within it, mitigating it. We have the measurable target for this. We get our support, neckline. It's right to the bearish order block on the 15-minute time frame. And that previous value low confluence. I personally would not be trading that long. I would either wait for the short or wait for it to potentially come back down here for the long. Around 1586. We have a 15-minute order block. We have a wick here we can use for potential SFP trade. And that previous value area high confluence that's really strong. So we have strong confluence here for longs. This was an opportunity here that we kind of missed out on. But so if you're not already in an existing long, then you use this as your exit plan, or you wait around here. So if I would draw pathing of where I prepare for trades, it'd be here on the chart or here. With the downtrending momentum, confluence, order block confluence, supply confluence, and previous value low confluence. Okay, that's Chainlink. Let's go to chat ENA from Safer. Let's pull up ENA. On the Binance chart, get that break of structure. Cool. We got a key level up here. Oh man, it just barely front run that hourly order block and then created a new one. So we definitely got a zone of interest here. We got liquidity from below this low. And the previous, we got an hourly order block. And we got our value area low here too. The deviation of value area low. We just changed the settings on this. Get rid of that developing value area. But yeah, this is definitely a spot you prepare for longs if we got that opportunity again. But up here is an area we'd want to prepare for potential shorts. If we get a full body candle close above here, of course, I'd prepare for, especially if we use the value area high as support. If we close above here, we're after a break retest, then higher high, using the value area as support. It's a trend-based rule warning you that we're going to be leaving the value area and going to a previous one, which would be right above our head. We have a previous value area right here. So acceptance into this would likely come from the same, it basically would be simultaneously coming from the retest of the value area high and getting the higher high. And then we'd have a target of that value area high for the rotation to it in confluence with that 200-day EMA and the supply barrier right here. So the pathing suggestion, what I prepare for is potentially this. Or if we don't get that retest higher high, there's good opportunity for longs here or a good opportunity for an SFP off these two areas. Or just the bullet bearish change of character here too. So 3 great opportunities. Honestly, it would be most likely more likely for this to occur. Is sweeping liquidity from these highs and come down. But just because of Bitcoin's positioning being right at a supply zone, if we do creep our way up here, lose momentum, and have the bearish opposing change of character, I'll just be targeting down here. Then looking for longs again as soon as we get to that kind of target. But that's ENA. That's a great chart. If you're good with market structure, guys, this is going to be a breeze. This will be easy for you. Get a master market structure. It's your first thing. And all that stuff is included in the course. Or including your membership. Shoot, you missed it. Baby was crying. Oh, sorry, man. I hear you. I can't tell you how many times I've changed a diaper and it cost me like thousands of dollars in trading opportunities. Like diapers are super expensive for more than one reason for traders. I get it, man. Okay. Let's go back to Bitcoin's chart. All right, guys, that is pretty much it. We went through Aave, we went through HBAR, we went through Solana, we went through Chainlink, went through Bitcoin, we went through ENA, we went through a weird one I can't even pronounce, Opera Chain AI. And I gotta head out. If you guys need help with anything, reach out to me in the Discord. I'd love to help you out. Be very cautious of impersonators. Triple check my handle. My handle is inside of the description of this video. So if you need to reach out for me for any reason, just be aware that you will likely be contacted by a fake version of me. I won't message you first, but I will respond and accept your friend requests. All right, guys, you have a great day. Congratulations to the winner that won the $6,000 account. I appreciate everyone who's been sharing, subscribing, liking the videos. We're almost at our 7,000 subscriber goal. Super close. Super close. But yeah, right now is the time to kind of like sit on our hands and wait for the price action to come to us and get to our trade plans and not rush into decisions. Just wait for the structure to give us evidence of what we're looking for, and then we take action. And of course, I'll give you guys a signal like I always do if I find something safe. Our last trade was the swing failure pattern trade that did really well. And hopefully we get another SFP trade because they're coming a bit of a favorite for me. All right, cool. All right, guys, have a great